Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Brianna. I'm a registered nurse doing my thing away from the bedside and pursuing the field of healthcare informatics. And on today's episode, I have the opportunity to interview a fellow nurse content creator who goes by the name of ComputerandCoin. And she talks about some very interesting things on her channel. Majority of that being nursing and informatics and a lot of other related topics. And I gotta say, it's like turning on Channel 2 news. She always has up-to-date information about what's happening in the specialty, and reviews a lot of other content that's out there, articles, trends, just some really interesting things. You guys left a lot of questions that I hope that I did answer in some of the videos, but I also wanted to bring on ComputerandCoin to also help answer some of the questions because they were good questions, and I think that it'll be really good to just kind of collaborate with her and just pretty much have a good discussion. So we're gonna ask her 5 questions, 5 of which were contents, 5 of which were comments left in the videos that were on my channel. So if that sounds interesting to you at all, if you left one of those questions, then I'm gonna need you to stick around. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. In my journey, like transitioning from a nurse to healthcare informatics, I didn't really have an opportunity to sort of like network the way I wanted. I feel like there wasn't a lot of nurse informaticists or nurses in healthcare informatics. So I felt like a lot of where I was trying to go and figure out things was like all on my own. You know, as we've mentioned, there are several different ways to get into the informatics specialty. And so I'd really kind of like to hear some of what you have to share.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea.
All right. So one of the questions that I got was, what are some schools or programs you recommend for nurses that are interested in informatics?
Yes, that's a great question. So before I name any programs, because there are a couple that come very much top of mind, I would encourage for nurses who are interested in going back to school for informatics and it may not have to be the permanent type of work that you do in informatics or tech, but think about or explore companies that are doing informatics tech type work in the healthcare space. And there are different ones. There are startups. There is the big, not the big 3, but like the Googles, the Amazons, the CVS. They are doing things in tech. There are insurance companies. There are, of course, hospitals and health systems. So explore that first and think about and see the type of work that some nurses are already doing in the space. Are they doing data analytics, data visualization, project management, IT operations, IT leadership, IT analysts, business analysts? And I say that because once you get an idea of what's already out there before you just apply to a program, then what I would encourage people to do, the second step, is to look at different schools of nursing that are associated with universities like Virginia, Texas, California, etc. Go to that nursing program's website or informatics and look at the coursework, because not all nursing informatics master's degrees, certificates, not too much DNPs, but PhD programs are equal. They're different. There's nursing informatics and there's health informatics. So you want to have an idea of the coursework of different informatics programs before you apply, before you spend money, before you get references, etc., and doing that background work to see what nurses in the space are already doing will help shape and formulate the program or programs that you might want to apply to, because you'll have an idea of the coursework, you'll have an idea of the type of work you may want to do, and you can see if the coursework of that program aligns with what you think you might want to be doing in the future. Now, once you do that, some of the programs that I recommend, one is I did a clinical informatics degree at Duke University. It's called the Master of Management Clinical Informatics.
Okay.
Now, that informatics program is not nursing informatics strictly. It is the business of health technology leadership. Now, I'm a nurse who went through the program. I know many other nurses who went through that program. What that program does, it teaches you how to work in informatics, but it also teaches you how to lead a business. Like you have to have like courses in finance, courses in strategy, like how do companies like Amazon do strategy to the work that they're doing, not today, but 5-10 years from now. The program teaches you that. The program teaches you about mergers and acquisitions and things like that. So that's one, if you want to get on the informatics, IT leadership type of track, that's one program I recommend. I know nurses who have gone through the program. Like, I'm a nurse working in informatics, but I'm strictly IT operations and IT leadership. I know nurses who have gone through that program who are doing programming, hardcore coding type work.
Yeah.
So it teaches you both the business side and the informatics side and the educational piece. That's
wow.
Very different.
Wow. That's so golden. I mean, that's a view that I haven't even thought of, or wow, I love it. Okay, so like finance, leadership, clinical informatics, but I'm a nurse.
Yes, but I'm a nurse. But I also know how to do a budget for $100 million technology company. They teach you that.
Nice.
But then there are also informatics programs like at Duke is one, UNC Chapel Hill, Florida, Texas, California, etc. That is strictly nursing informatics and teach you like all the theories and all the theories and work about nursing informatics. So that's why I say before people just apply to a program, that's why it's so important to do that background work that I mentioned.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good. So you're basically kind of saying work backwards. Yeah, work backwards, because if you're going for your like nurse practitioner, I'm sure, a lot of different programs probably still vary to become a nurse practitioner, but in a sense, it's still the same. It doesn't have much variation as it would for nursing informatics or clinical informatics. Now, I would think that if you're doing strictly nursing informatics, the programs may still be similar-ish versus if you did like, the degree that you mentioned, clinical informatics.
Yes.
Okay.
Some similarity. There's one program that I know about where you did part of your work in the School of Nursing, but you also did part of your work in the School of Information and Library Science. So that's why it just varies, and that's why I really recommend people look at the coursework of a program before, again, spending time and money and et cetera, putting a lot of energy into applying. Because you could be applying, you may be applying to a program that's right in your city or your state, but it doesn't align with your values or where you want to be in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, looking at the coursework, I think, of the program that you're considering is a really important piece. So I like that idea about kind of like working backwards, like find someone that's kind of doing what you're doing and like that's doing what you want to do and like get an idea of how they got there. And then really target the programs by looking at the courses that they offer. So
yes, and talking to the professors if you can, because many programs have the professors' email addresses. And before you even apply, and let them know who you are, what you're interested in, and that will give you an idea of the the culture, a little bit of the culture of the program as well. Are they responsive? Are they helpful? Are they engaging, etc.? Are they giving you what you need in terms of the knowledge that you're seeking to help decide if it's the right fit for you?
I love that. Absolutely. So, what if somebody already got a master's in nursing leadership or education, right? You don't want to go back. How could somebody like that transition?
into informatics.
Into informatics, yeah.
Okay. Yes, they already have a master's degree, and they want to know how they can transition in informatics. And I say this regularly on my videos and just people talking. Your biggest bang is always going to be in the network and the people, right?
Yeah.
You can, in talking with people, whether that's through a professional organization, attending a conference, building on social media, and having those type of conversations, because the advice that I give may be very different than someone who's working in Minnesota, etc. So ways that you can transition is I do believe in professional organizations, whether that's your state nurses association, and if they have an informatics special interest group. Now, HIMSS is a really big one. Now, HIMSS is an international organization, the Health Information Systems Society.
Yeah.
But HIMSS also has regional chapters, and HIMSS also has state chapters in many states, and of course across the world. HIMSS also has, they have informatics special interest groups, but they also have a nursing informatics working group that is very active, that does work, and you can talk and meet with people and see the type of things that they are working on. And then you can also find out if there are any like certificate programs, because there's different types of certificate programs out there. Maybe you don't want a master's degree to pursue another master's. Maybe you want to look for to get a certificate in a certain type of specialty or informatics program. I'm finding a lot of master's programs and sometimes PhD programs have what they call like certificates, where instead of you taking a full 2-year, 3-year coursework, you do a 9-month certificate, a 12-month certificate.
Yeah.
So that's another way to transition. So number one, checking in with professional organizations and talking to people as part of that work and building a network. And people that you can reach out to, but also looking into if there are if there are certificates, not certification, but like certificates that you can get. Now, certifications that's separate from actually getting the certificate. So, those are a few ideas that I have about that.
So I've heard you mentioned it in some of your videos before, but for the folks viewing this video today and that have left the question is, have you seen informatics roles for LPNs or LVNs?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yes, I have, especially as nursing is becoming, not just nursing, but healthcare overall is becoming more digital and more virtual. I know of licensed practical nurses right now working on virtual nursing projects, and very much within IT organizations, like technology organizations, and working with the IT team to build certain components related to that virtual nursing. Also around remote patient monitoring as well. Within the home healthcare space, doing that type of work, not doing the hands-on patient care, but actually doing the analysis of the data, whether that's through Excel and using OBDC connections. We're doing like data analysis like that.
I'm like, woo!
Getting too deep in the woods, but doing data analysis using Excel.
Okay.
Like Tableau or Crystal.
Okay.
But you can do Excel is a very powerful data analysis tool, and I do know of LPNs doing that type of work. Also doing data analytics around cardiology data for like patients post-transplant. So yes, there are roles out there, but I just encourage folks that, nurse may not be anywhere in the job title.
Yeah.
It may not even be in the required qualifications. It may be heavily preferred. Yes, I do know of LPNs working in informatics type roles.
Okay. So it's really helpful if you kind of know some Excel, or if you're a little bit more technical already and you're in the nursing profession, but it's not like, being a nurse, so I can't learn these things, or being a clinical professional, I'm clinically mindset, I have a clinical mindset, but I can't not learn these technical skills.
Yes, and proficient in things like Microsoft Office, being a strategic thinker. Nurses already do that. Being able to stick with IT issues or data issues or virtual nursing issues until you have a root cause and can fix it, or thinking about how you would build out a workflow. There are LPNs doing that type of work.
I love it. I love it. And it's probably much harder for somebody who's technical without a clinical background.
Yes.
To do sort of what you're doing, or, you know, what I'm doing, because there's that clinical piece that they really have to learn. So that's awesome. I think we're taking over. What do you think? It's a partnership. Yes.
Right? We need the IT people.
Absolutely.
We need to tell them what nurses at the bedside.
Okay.
What we really need, and vice versa. I definitely think it is a symbiotic relationship.
Okay. You said no, Brianna.
It's heavily dependent on it.
Okay. You're like, no, Brianna, dial that back. It's a partnership.
But we in there. Nurses are definitely there for sure.
Absolutely.
And they're very much needed.
Yeah.
Like, I would be remiss to work with a company on a project that is for nurses that do not have nurses at the table, with a seat at the table, and help driving the decision making for how things are going to be built, implemented, maintained, upgraded, etc.
Of course. Absolutely. 100%. All right. So just two more questions for you. So somebody actually had a concern, and they were like, well, with the recession scare, is the industry of health informatics impacted? So, right? We're not giving direct patient care. We're not frontline workers. And so how would we be affected? Are we going to lose our jobs? Are we one of the first people to not be needed anymore?
I would say, first of all, I would say no job is safe. No, I would.
True.
Even the nurse at the bedside, not to say that nurse or that position, or a nurse working in informatics, the position go away, which it may go away, but it may also evolve. The work that a nurse in informatics in a recession, the work that the nurse was doing 2 or 3 years ago is not the work that they're going to be doing tomorrow, whether it's with the same company or a different company. That's why it's always critical that no matter how good of the position that you're in, how financially viable the company that you're working for is, that you're always prepared if something happens. If you do get laid off or you lose your position, that you're not starting from ground zero in terms of like resume, knowing what's happening in the market. But yes, I mean, there is always a risk with the recession, with positions being may change or may evolve to where the work is different, or where the nurse may have to learn new skills, whether that's maybe not necessarily go back to school, but learn how to think differently, do different types of work. I just always keep in the back of my mind that nothing is guaranteed. So you always have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. If something does happen where the position changes, or the company, the strategic direction that the company is going in doesn't include your position or your department, that you're able to pivot and do something differently. Okay. All right.
Yeah. The one thing I appreciate, because you always like review articles and things, and it's not articles that, you know, I can't get access to, you know, because there are a lot of like journals and publications that you have to like get a paid subscription for. Yes. But you typically provide those resources, and it's articles that I can click on and read myself. And I think in one of your recent videos, you were talking about it was different CIOs, different directors who were talking about what they think the trends are currently in nursing informatics. And if I can summarize, one of them were saying AI is going to be used a lot in like automating. Oh, there was this one piece, automating the data analytics piece so that we can understand and make decisions in real time on the data that's being collected. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting because I'm interested in more so data analytics at this point. Right now, I'm more so in like the quality improvement, quality assessment. But with the data analytics, it's like, okay, if I learn this in the next 5 years, well, by the time I finish learning it, are they going to need like what I know anymore? Because now that AI is going to be generating some of that piece. So I just thought, yeah, it's really good to stay up to date and understand what's going on.
It is. I just came across there is a health system out in California. Very new. They have an innovation center, which I'm finding more and more companies are having like innovation centers, digital strategy. But this health system is going to be, so you know how physicians in their off hours, they may be doing like their dictation, like at home. And this article or this innovation center referred it to provider pajama time. So you have your nurse practitioners sitting at home, 7 p.m. doing like dictating their notes. So this health system is looking, so I think it's like Chat GHPT, the new thing folks have been talking about with how you can use AI to generate words.
Okay.
This innovation center is looking at using AI to embed that with diction to do like, the predictability around as the provider is doing their diction to help enhance it and make it better and faster. So instead of the provider, the nurse practitioner spending 3 hours of their evening at home dictating, maybe they're only going to have to spend 20 minutes because the AI knows the patient that I'm just totally
right. Of course, surmising.
And I was like, oh my goodness, they're going to start using AI. They want to start using. They're developing it now to cut down on provider, physician, nurse practitioner, etc. pajama time or diction time using artificial intelligence embedded into the electronic health record.
Wow.
I just saw that and I was like, that is very rapidly, like you said, how you're interested in data analytics.
Yeah.
How it really does evolve so rapidly. So staying up to date.
Woo.
So if something does change at the company that you're working at, the work that you're doing, that's why I say I don't think the work for nurse informaticians is going to go away. I think it's just going to evolve. It may not be with the same company. It may be with a different company.
Okay, definitely. So there's definitely no room for oversaturation in this space. Yeah, no.
I definitely don't think so.
Because
I think the opportunities are going to be more and more. That's what I wholeheartedly believe.
Okay. Now, I just had this thought that if the nurse practitioner only spends about like 20 minutes dictating because AI is assisting he or she. Well, you know how when I text and it creates some auto words and spells it for me and it makes mistakes, right? Maybe there's going to be a new role created. I don't know, but maybe AI can correct itself. But I was thinking maybe there would be a new role of someone who oversees these technologies to ensure that documentation. So even the CDI role would change in some way. So
even the ethics of it.
Yeah.
The whole ethics of having the machine, because as the artificial intelligence gets smarter, it gets better. That's machine learning, right? So you're right. So that role just evolved, and that's why I don't think the opportunities for nurses and informatics is going to go away. That's why I keep saying I think it's going to evolve, and the work that's being done is just going to be different.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. And my last question for you.
Yes.
Okay. So I kind of talked about some recent things you shared on your channel because I was watching some videos, but what is the most recent information that you'd like to leave with us today? I think we touched on a lot of good points, but if there was anything else you wanted to add.
Yes, about just being an informatics nurse or health technology in general.
I mean, you are, I think, full of a lot of updated information. So I guess anything that that you think is like exciting or that you feel people should know, be on top of, or be aware of.
Yes. Okay. There's a lot of innovation happening in healthcare, just general, overall, arch in general. So the most basic way that I can say, just to leave with folks, just to think about, instead of saying, look for this job, look for this program, look for this technology, is that if you're a bedside nurse or you're working in a clinic or any type of setting where you're laying hands on patients or doing direct patient care, even if you're not, but I'm starting at the very basic of what we do as nurses, even nurses in informatics.
Yeah.
Even though I'm in IT operations, I still take care of patients. And the patient laying in the bed, on the operating room table, in the clinic, that's the basic of the work that I'm doing, period.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time you are at the bedside and you're providing care to your patient, you're in the clinic or you're doing a visit or you're in the operating room, just take 30 seconds, a minute, and look at the patient, or even the patient is not there. Look around the room, whether that's the operating room, the hospital room, the clinic, and just know that everything in that room, everything associated with the care of a patient is changing and will be changed by technology.
Yeah.
It is changing now.
Now, as you speak.
As we speak, and will be changing in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So just keep that in the back of your mind. So the way you as a bedside nurse or you as a nurse in, say you're working in an endoscopy center, the way you're caring for that patient today will not be the way that the patient is being taken care of 5 years from now. You'll still be taking care of patients, but it will be different.
Yeah.
And it will continue to evolve and it will continue to be dynamic. And we just have to be and remain nimble enough in our thinking to prepare ourselves, to prepare our patients, and to prepare our communities and our families as well, to just remain nimble in our thinking and dynamic, to know that things will change and continue to get better. And we just prepare ourselves professionally for that.
Absolutely. I love that. So you said just be prepared. 5 years, not 10.
Yes.
That's how quick it's moving.
Probably even 1 year. I know things that we were planning for 6 months ago that we're no longer planning for. We're actually going to do something different because it's just so
ever changing.
And right, yes. And it's, of course, for better, because we want to take care of patients in our communities in the best way possible.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think it was a good chat.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I was so excited.
When